Alright, g'day. Welcome IB Psychologists to another IB Psychology exam tutorial. In this video we're going to look at paper 2 and do a quick review here. In the last video we looked at paper 1 and gave an overview. Here we're going to look at paper 2. So what we want to know today is what is in paper 2. If we know what's in the exam, then you'll know best how to prepare for it. So paper 2 covers the options. Now, paper 1 is about the core approaches to understanding behavior. Paper 2 we have the options. There are 4 options in the IB Psychology course. Standard level students will study 1, higher level students will study 2. This is the basis of the exam for paper 2. Just a note, if you're using our textbook or our revision guide, links to these in the description by the way, then you'll be preparing human relationships and or abnormal psychology. I chose to include just these 2 options for a number of reasons. One of them is that these are by far the most common and popular that students use for paper 2. Also just because of the unique structure of the student's guide, where all the core and the options are overlapped, it would have been very difficult to do all four options in that one book. Having said that, in a couple of years we'll be releasing the second edition, which will cover all 4 options. Now, in the revision guide, I did include the developmental bonus, developing as a learner topic. That is included in the revision guide because actually I realized that I covered that by kind of almost by mistake in the student's guide anyway. Paper 2, the options. So standard level, as I said, you've got 1 option, you have 1 hour, you have 1 essay. Higher level, 2 options, 2 hours, 2 essays, right? Pretty simple so far. Now let's have a look at the essay questions and the breakdown of how they work in the paper 2. So there are 3 questions per option, and each option has 3 topics, and there's 1 question per topic. All right, what do I mean by that? Okay, so here's our option of abnormal psychology, and we can see here abnormal psychology has 3 topics. All of the options have 3 topics. Now, in paper 2, you're going to have 1 question based on each of these topics. Let's have a look at an example. All right, now here, this is taken from the IB specimen paper. And we can see here, we've got 1 question on diagnosis, 1 question on etiologies, and 1 question on treatments. So, 3 questions, 3 topics, 1 question per topic. Alrighty. We see here psychology of human relationships will be the same. You have 3 topics. You'll have 1 question based on each of these topics. Now, this is really important to know because where it gets a little bit tricky, you might think, oh, you know, I can if I'm guaranteed a question on personal relationships, well then I'll just study personal relationships, and that is a good option. But what you need to know is how the approaches, the methods, and the ethics might be linked. So for each topic in an option, you could be asked in paper 2 1 or more. You could be asked about the approaches for that topic, research methods, or the ethical considerations. Let me give you some examples. All right, here's an example of a question that links the topic with an approach. Discuss the biological approach to understanding etiologies of disorders. So we have etiologies, that would probably say etiologies of animal psychology. We have etiologies linked to, so the approach is biological and it's linked to the topic. You wouldn't be asked about biological approach in prevalence or the biological approach in, say, classification systems, because these are content, not topic. Now, knowing this is really important when you study for your exams, because if you try to review the biological approach and how it relates to all of these content points, you'd be making far more unnecessary work for yourself. So the approaches are linked to the topics. All right, now the ethical considerations will also be linked, or could also be linked in the question to the topic. So, for example, discuss 1 or more ethical considerations relevant to the study of personal relationships. Here we can see it's linked to the topic. It wouldn't be about ethical considerations in, say, for example, explaining why relationships change or end. You could use that example for sure, and you should use it in examples from here in the answer, but the question wouldn't be stated like that. And finally, it's the same for research methods. So here's our topic, group dynamics, and it's linked to a research method. You might have to evaluate the use of a research method. So this fact that these approaches, ethics, and methods can be linked to a topic does make paper 2 a little bit tricky to prepare for, and it's why I would strongly suggest that you choose 1 topic to become an expert in. If you try to prepare all 3 topics with all of this content point and understand the approaches, ethics, and methods for all of these topics, and for high level for 2 options, I just feel like that would be far too much. You might want to adapt a 1-2-3 approach where you choose 1 of these topics. Okay, so let's say you're a standard level student, you're doing abnormal psychology. You might choose 1 topic and become an expert in that and really prepare, and that's going to be your question. And then you might have a second as a backup. Okay, what I am encouraging my students to do is just choose one topic. Now, when I'm teaching the course, I teach all 3 topics, and then at the end, I get the students to choose which one did you like, which one you're expert in, and I also give my guidance. Okay, I think etiologies of abnormal psychology is a very good topic to do in abnormal psychology, and I think personal relationships is a very good topic to do in human relationships. But there are pros and cons to each of these. Okay. Now, just so you know, so here are some questions from the specimen paper. Now, this question shouldn't be here because we can see the role of culture in diagnosis. Now, if we look here, that's not a content point. What they've done is they've linked an approach to a topic. Okay, and so that would be an illegal question that the IB's asked in their specimen paper. So that would not be a question in your exam. To what extent do social cultural factors explain why relationships change or end? Again, what they've done here in the specimen paper is they've asked an illegal question. All right, not that, I mean, they can do what they want, they're the IB, but it should not be in there. We can see here why relationships change or end. Okay, that is a content point, and they've linked an approach with a content point that should not be there. So if you're looking at the specimen paper, that might be a little bit confusing for you. So topics, approaches, ethics, methods linked to the topic. Okay, so just to recap, my top tips for paper 2. I would suggest studying one topic per option that you need to cover, and be ready for any possible question about that topic. All right, and so if you're only going to study one topic, then you have to make sure you're prepared to write about ethical considerations, research methods, all the content points, any possible question for that topic. Because if you choose one topic, and let's say you don't study the ethical considerations and review that material, then that question comes up, you're stuffed. Okay, so any possible question. All content, 3 approaches, methods, ethics. I will put, this is an example review table that I've given to my students, and when if you get a revision book, it comes with a digital pack with a bunch of this material in it, and I'm just now putting this table in there so you'll get it. We can see here, this is for one topic, so I get my students to write the topic name here. Okay, these are the 3 content points, right? Subject knowledge, these are the 3 content points, these are the relevant studies, and here we can see, okay, these are the approaches, what's a biological factor, cognitive, social, cultural, and methods and ethics. And this is just one topic for an option, one page, and I can see, and students can use this as a quick review to make sure they've got everything they need and they are prepared to write about any possible question. Now, in terms of advice for the essays on paper 2, my advice for paper 2 essays is just the same as paper 1 essays. There's no difference there. So you can watch my other video about advice for writing essays and how to write great essays, and I'll put a link to that in the description as well. All right, that was that. Paper 2 should be pretty straightforward to study for. If you've got any questions, please just post them to our Facebook group. Put a question on the blog. Write a comment here. If you like the video, yeah, I think, what do they say? Hit like, subscribe, all that jazz. Anyway, thank you. Good luck, and I hope that was helpful. Cheers.